I don't know if a lot of you guys have heard about this story about Zymere Perkins. Originally, the story came out of September of 2016, but there's some new information, as well as like there have been some court and trial proceedings that have been happening with this little boy right here on my screen. And he died at a very young age of 6 years old. And again, this is a recurring theme that seems to be going on. And also, I want to shout out a website called momsboyfriend.com. These are the type of stories that they illustrate on their website. And this is another clear example of why I believe that the dynamic of a mother, a biological mother, and a boyfriend is a very dangerous mix, because these boyfriends are not going to treat these children like they would their own. It doesn't mean all, but it's too many. And I'm going to continue to keep using these as examples to point out the fact that if you date thugs, you date death. That is our hashtag here. If you date thugs, you date death. No, it doesn't mean all thugs are going to kill children, but it's too many. And what I'm saying is that it poses a high enough risk that I think that you should second guess doing this and putting your children in this situation. Hopefully everybody understands where I'm coming from. It doesn't mean all, but if you're going to date thugs, then I think it's best to do that and not have your children around that person. All right? A 6-year-old boy from New York was beaten to death after being subjected to months of torture by his mother's boyfriend, according to horrific details outlined in court on Monday. I'm going to forewarn the people that are listening to this story about Zymere Perkins. If you've heard this story, then you know that there are some extremely graphic details that we are about to talk about. So if you're not comfortable talking about that or hearing about these things, then I understand if you want to pass on this story. But if you're choosing to be here, then you're choosing to listen to this story. Can we all agree to that? Can we all get a thumbs up and you tell me, yes, I heard the disclaimer, Jay. You're going to talk about some things that are very difficult to hear. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you heard me. So that means you're choosing to stay here. The Manhattan Supreme Court on Monday heard how Zymere Perkins, who was just 6 years old, that beautiful little boy that you see on the right hand of my screen, was eventually beaten with a broken broomstick and a shower rod before being hung on the back of a bathroom door and left to die in a roach and maggot-infested apartment in Harlem. I know that's probably going to turn some people's stomach, but I'm going to read it again. Again, there is nothing about this story that is too hard to listen to compared to what this little boy actually had to go through. So for the people to say I can't listen to this, I think it's actually important for everybody to listen to this, because nothing was harder than what he actually had to go through. He was only 6 years old. And a lot of us that are watching right now are a lot older than that and a lot bigger than that. The least we could do is listen to this story and honor the memory of this boy. He was beaten with a broken broomstick and a shower rod before being hung on the back of a bathroom door and left to die in a roach and maggot infested apartment in Harlem. And yes, we're going to talk about that ignorant dude that y'all see on my screen, as well as that weird looking creature that she has this weird looking hay mix of a grass, of a horse, of a, I don't know what you call it. Let's go back. Let's go back for a moment. Y'all look at her face. Like, why does her face look like she just got out of like she just crawled out of a burning building? Like, seriously, look at her face. That is her real face. And that dude on the right hand side is her boyfriend. We're going to talk about this. Now, the assistant DA, Kerry O'Connell, told jurors that the man, let me see if I can get him back on the screen. This guy, that's her boyfriend, and his name is Rysheim Smith. If you want to know how to spell it, it's Rysheim. He was, or is, I should say, let me get his age back up here again. 42 years old. Ain't that some shit? Rysheim Smith, this fool on my screen, is 42 years old. 42 years old. allegedly killed his girlfriend, Geraldine Perkins, and the mother, who y'all saw on the screen just a second ago, is 26 years old. Let me show y'all the face of a 26-year-old. That face. Guys, that is a 26-year-old woman. Let me get her face. Let me get a different photo. Y'all see this? Guys, I did not doctor this photo. That is her real face, and I've saw multiple pictures of her. The dude is 42 years old. The woman, if you can even call her that, is 26 years old. And I'm going to tell you something. I can understand, like, if a person is dirty because maybe they're just not financially able to take care of themselves. I can understand that to a certain extent. If you're just broke, you're broke. But what's so funny about niggas in the hood and these type of women that we happen to call mothers and y'all black queens is no matter how broke they are, no matter how downtrodden they are, no matter how disenfranchised they are, they always find a way to buy some motherfucking weave. I would love for the pro-blacks and the conscious community to explain how that works. How are you so broke, but you always find a dollar, a penny, a sale, or whatever the hell it is, or a booster, because y'all know niggas be out here stealing too. You always find a way to cover the natural hair that God gave you. You are that embarrassed of it. No matter how broke. Let's move on. Shout out to my brother Tommy Sotomayor. He talks about something that is so pertinent. And also let me give a shout out to his movie, which is A Fatherless America. This is what we're talking about. This is the dynamic. If y'all haven't seen that movie, you might want to take a look at it. This is the dynamic that he talks about that is so detrimental to the black community. Y'all always talking about, well, we need solutions. I'm giving you the goddamn solutions right in front of your face. All you got to do is just pay attention to it, okay? I hope everybody understands that was your forewarning. I'm telling you guys that's what we're looking at, okay? Let's move on. He killed his girlfriend's son in a fit of anger because he was pissed off. He was in his little feels because he could deal with a 6-year-old. He picked up baby Zymere, held him by the arm, and began to beat him with a stick like he was a freaking piñata. Does everybody know what a piñata is? I hope you do. Tellingly, he did not call out to his mother. The baby boy Zaire did not, I called him Zaire, Zymere, excuse me. Zymere did not call out to his mother while this was going on. Do you know why he didn't call out for his mom? Anybody want to take a guess? Because he knew his mother was not going to protect him. Imagine how brokenhearted that little boy is. If you guys are watching the stream right now, do us a favor. We always ask that when people come in, and if you type in the chat, just click the thumbs up. I'll be more than happy to let you guys chat. Thank you to everybody else that's already clicked that thumbs up, okay? We should have about 200 thumbs up, but I'm not going to force it. But if you guys would, please help us out, okay? Thank you. That dude right there, Rysheim Smith, became so enraged with this baby boy who was constantly wetting his makeshift bed. Wetting his makeshift bed. Not even a real bed. Kids wet the bed. That's what they do. You have to train them and encourage them. Train them and encourage them. If you don't, they will have issues, but you expect for children to have issues. I'm sorry, but I'm just a parent that knows how to parent. He was constantly wetting his makeshift bed, and who also once defecated in the living room and then tried to hide it. District Attorney O'Connell explained how Smith, after beating the boy, waterboarded him in the shower before dropping him onto the floor and beating him with a shower rod, cutting his head. I told you guys this is, yes, a makeshift bed, Cassandra, yes. Now, let me ask you guys this. Anybody watching right now, do y'all want to take a guess at this? Do y'all know what waterboarding is? Waterboard. WATERBOARDED. Waterboard. Does anybody know what waterboarding is? If you do that to a human being, does anybody know what waterboarding is? LaShandra said that wetting the bed could be a sign of abuse and sexual abuse. I agree. This is in New York. Yes, ma'am. That's right. Illicit deeds. Absolutely. If you know what waterboarding is, give me what you think the definition of waterboarding is. And I'm going to let y'all know how evil and cruel these people were to this boy. And I say people because this was a team effort. The mother allowed her son to be abused like this. It's a form of torture. I'm going to tell you exactly what waterboarding is. Also called water torture. It's simulated drowning. I'll say that again. Simulated drowning, interrupted drowning, and controlled drowning. Method of torture in which water is poured into the nose and the mouth of a victim who lies on his back on an inclined platform with his feet above his head, almost completely upside down, and you're pouring water into them, trying to make them choke and drown. That's what waterboarding is. And he waterboarded him in the shower before dropping him on the floor and then beat the shit out of him with a shower rod, which ended up also causing his head to be cut. Zymere, because of this, lost consciousness and collapsed in the bathtub. He is alleged to have finally hung him on the back of a bathroom door by his t-shirt after he lost consciousness. I'm going to tell you guys this. I'll tell you guys this. I keep thinking that every story that I do that's a heinous story, I'm like, it can't get any worse than this, right? Then the next story I do, I'm like, okay, this has got to be the worst, right? Then the next story I do, I'm like, that's pretty fucked up. But I'm like, I don't think anybody will do anything any worse than this one, right? And then, lo and behold, we get yet another email to our email address, thesotopodcast@gmail.com, and somebody sends this story that I'm just now hearing about for the first time. And you hear about them doing something like this. But wait, guys, it gets worse. After he did all of that waterboarding and beating him up with a shower rod and dropping him onto the floor, he turned around and grabbed the boy and put him on the back of a bathroom door by his t-shirt. After he lost consciousness. No. We don't go get the boy help after you practically kill him and you didn't know if he was dead. You turn around and hang him on the back of a door. I don't understand it. I don't. O'Connell said this was likely where this baby boy took his last breath. Jesus Christ. Eventually, Smith lifted Zymere off the hook because he was hanging by the back of his shirt off a hook and threw him against a bedroom wall where he fell to the floor. His own mother, and I'm going to give her name again, Geraldine Perkins, the 26-year-old mother. Let me see if I can... This woman, his own mother, who was alleged to have watched on passively as this abuse took place. And that's why that she needs to be facing the same exact punishment. They should not have two different punishments. What do you guys think about that? I think the punishment for both of them should be the exact same. If you can sit and watch a child that you carried in your womb for 9 months give birth to it, and watch somebody else literally strip the living life out of your child, out of your baby, out of your legacy, then I think that you, Geraldine, should face the exact same punishment as your boyfriend. What do y'all think? Please post your comments in the chat if you believe that they should face the exact same punishment, because I think they do. They say that the mom watched on passively as the abuse took place and said to have waited several hours before checking on her son after the beating. When she finally did so, he was already dead. It was too goddamn late by then. Geraldine Perkins then carried her baby boy's body from their 135th Street Harlem home to the hospital long after he could be saved. He was already dead. It was too late by then. Okay? Smith, meanwhile, left the apartment to go and get some food. Man. Okay. Graphic photos of Zymere's badly beaten body were shown to the jurors, because of course this went to trial, which detailed his injuries, including cuts and bruises to his neck, his head, and ribs. On Monday, ER nurse Michael Nelson recalled how Perkins ran inside the hospital, screaming as she carried Zymere in her arms. He was extremely cold. I felt the coldness of him through his clothes, he said. This child was dead for a while. There was no bringing this child back. O'Connell went on to portray how unpleasant life had become for Zymere in his home, where flies had laid eggs in feces that was embedded in the carpet and crawling with maggots. I hope you guys are not eating right now. If you are, take a pause for the cause and gather yourself, because I'm going to read that again. Yes, food after the baby's dead. These stories keep getting worse, don't they? They told a story about how unpleasant life had become for the 6-year-old baby in his home, where flies had laid eggs in shit that was embedded in the carpet, and it was crawling with maggots. Zymere was allegedly deprived of food as punishment. Oh, catch this. After the boyfriend killed the kid, he went to go get food for himself, right? But Zymere was deprived of food as punishment. How many times have y'all heard me talk about that? Can anybody in the chat testify how many stories DJ Just J has done about these children being starved while these fat motherfuckers go out and go get food for themselves? No consciousness. Thank you, Patricia. Absolutely insane. They deprived him of food as punishment and given just bread for dinner while his mother and boyfriend feasted, according to the prosecutor. When he was caught eating from the garbage, let me gather myself. When Zymere was caught eating from the garbage because he was so hungry, the defendant beat him mercilessly. He had broken ribs on broken ribs. The child had more fractures than he actually had ribs. The boy's chest and belly were covered in scratches, scars, and bruises. Again, if you guys are watching right now, I ask for you guys, not necessarily for me, but for the memory of this 6-year-old boy, Zymere Perkins, I ask that you guys click the thumbs up. It'll help share this stream and let other people know that we're live telling his story. And I think that his story is important. His story needs to be heard, and that little boy deserves justice. At least, if nothing else, click thumbs up, hoping that we can strive for justice for this little boy, okay? So thank you to everybody that's already done that. Again, Perkins, who's 28 years old, Geraldine Perkins, the mother, She pleaded guilty to second-degree manslaughter in 2017. That horrible looking chick right there. And has already been behind bars for 3 years, and she's expected to receive between 2 and 6 years for her testimony against Smith. She's 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Guys, she will be out by age 35. Can we get a hashtag, take the ovaries? This woman does not need to ever reproduce ever in life. She participated in the death of her own son. She didn't even get life. She didn't get anything close to life. She didn't get anything that is going to even teach her a lesson. That equates to a slap on the wrist. She got 6 years practically, and she'll be out of jail by age 35. Hashtag snatch her ovaries out of her body. Because if she gets out at age 35, there is a high probability that she's going to get pregnant. And then she's going to do this to another Zymere Perkins. I wanted to make that point very clear before I move on, okay? Smith is alleged to have begun beating Zymere very early in the couple's relationship and encouraged her to emulate the violence under the guise of discipline. Ooh. How many times have I told y'all that? That's why I've told you guys, and I wanted to give a shout out. I can't remember whose name it was, but I'll read it here in a little bit. There was a person who sent me a PayPal and actually told me that they were like, because they watched my show, it encouraged them to stop beating their child, beating their boys. And I wanted to commend them for that. Because it takes a real parent to step up and realize when you're doing something wrong and just change it. He was encouraging her to emulate the violence under the guise of discipline. Although New York Post reports how the abuse went on for far more than a year. Zymere was disciplined by Rysheim Smith because he thought it would make a man out of the boy. She put a man's importance to her ahead of the life and welfare of her child. O'Connell said Smith completely dominated Perkins and prioritized her relationship with her boyfriend before that of her own son. Told you. After Zymere's death, 3 Administration for Children Services employees were fired from the troubled agency. Its commissioner, Gladys Carrion, also resigned, which is the ACS, Administration for Child Services. It was revealed that up to 5 welfare reports were filed on Zymere's behalf, but they were ignored. An investigation into the allegations of severe corporal punishment was also closed. The failing of the agency will also be revealed in court during the trial. ACS received a tip-off in 2015 that alleged Smith smacked Zymere 20 times at a picnic. 20 times at a picnic. The little boy also told ACS workers how his mother's boyfriend hit him and punished him by forcing him to take cold showers. Excuse me, y'all. Smith's defense attorney, Heather Smith, has said that the death of Zymere is solely down to Perkins, who she described as a profoundly unreliable person who will say anything to avoid jail time. There is no reliable evidence that Rysheim's actions caused Zymere's death, she said. Perkins is a known liar with every incentive to save her own life. Smith faces up to life in prison if convicted of second-degree murder, manslaughter, and other charges. And at the time of the little boy's death, city officials acknowledged that Perkins was investigated 5 times for abuse allegations. 5 times. And I want y'all to catch this. Can we get a hashtag babies for benefits? Because some of y'all might be wondering, why am I saying hashtag babies for benefits? Here's why. The family of 6-year-old Zymere Perkins is after the city's child welfare agency and has reportedly been warned of the abuse. Excuse me. The family is getting a $275,000 settlement. That's according to court records. Hashtag babies for benefits. The family sued the city and they're getting a $275,000 settlement. The city agreed to payment to the little Zymere Perkins family after his aunts filed a notice of their intent to sue the city over his September 26, 2016 death. Hashtag babies for benefits. Let's go ahead and get this fair use going. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
A collection of balloons, cards, and candles, all for a little boy whose life came to a violent end, allegedly at the hands of those who were supposed to care for him. 6-year-old Zymere Perkins died Monday. His mother, Geraldine Perkins, and her boyfriend, Rysheim Smith, now face charges in connection with his death.
It will forever be with me in my mind. His lifeless little body, you know. It was so scary, so sad.
Court documents say sometime early Monday, Smith beat the little boy with a broomstick until he went limp. Police sources say he also held the boy's head underwater in the shower. Geraldine Perkins told police she was there during the assault, but prosecutors say she never called 911. And hospital staff believe the boy had been dead for several hours before Perkins brought him in.
Would you like to say anything on Geraldine's behalf or her boyfriend?
Perkins' family left the Lower Manhattan courthouse silent after both Perkins and Smith appeared in front of a judge for their arraignments.
No emotion. They all up in their feelings and all worried about themselves and how they look. They were not concerned about that boy. I'm going to show y'all that one more time. Watch how they walked out of court.
Perkins brought him in.
Would you like to say anything on Geraldine's behalf or her boyfriend?
Perkins' family left the Lower Manhattan courthouse silent after both Perkins and Smith appeared in front of a judge for their arraignments. Prosecutors say a preliminary autopsy shows Zymere had several broken ribs, old injuries, and was severely malnourished. Sources say ACS investigated Geraldine Perkins 5 times since 2010, most recently in April when Zymere's school reported bruising on his body.
She was investigated 5 times by ACS.
Injuries and was severely malnourished. Sources say ACS investigated Geraldine Perkins 5 times since 2010, most recently in April when Zymere's school reported bruising on his body. No charges were ever filed. CBS 2's Marcia Kramer demanded answers from Mayor Bill de Blasio about what seems to be a failure in the system.
How many investigations, how many charges have to be made before the city will take action?
Marcia, we need a full investigation to answer what happened here. I'm not going to speculate. It's not fair to the family, the child, or the public to speculate.
And new information today, Smith's own children say they can't believe their father could have hurt another child. Rysheim Smith carries his father's name and says the man who raised him could have never harmed another child.
I just want everybody in the world to know that, my father was a good man. He treated these kids right, and I just wish that, the truth would come out.
The mother, Geraldine Perkins.
Oh, my God. Rysheim's. This is Rysheim's son. And I'm going to tell you, because he's old enough, and I could probably say this and not be disparaging a child, because it looks like he's of age. Rysheim, your father is a stupid fucking idiot. And guess what? Rysheim Smith, the son, I don't think the apple falls too far from the tree. I think that same thing probably applies to you too, especially for you to sit there and say, "No, my daddy would never do nothing like that." Well, wait a minute. Your father is guilty of what he did to this 6-year-old boy. They have evidence of what he did to this boy. They have reports of what he did to this boy. And more importantly, they have witnesses that said what they did to this boy. And you gonna go get your simping ass on camera and say that your father didn't do what we all know that he did and what his mother did to 6-year-old Zymere Perkins, and you're going to get on camera to defend your dad for what? You should have just shut the fuck up. Seriously. Dumbass.
I just want everybody in the world to know that, my father was a good man. He treated these kids right.
And since you say that your father was a good man, you just want the world to know that your father a good man. Ladies, if y'all are having sex with that stupid ass boy right there, you're probably going to have some stupid ass kids. So I'm going to tell you, you might want to think second and third and fourth and fifth before you procreate with somebody like that, because the apple don't fall far from the tree. Can we get a apple emoji in the chat? Anybody got an apple emoji in the chat? Because yes, I think he's as stupid as his dad. Straight up.
I just wish that, the truth would come out.
The mother, Geraldine Perkins, and her boyfriend, Rysheim Smith, are charged in the death of 6-year-old Zymere Perkins. Police say inside the apartment at 135th and Broadway, Smith beat the child with a broomstick and even held the boy's head underwater in the shower.
That would never be my stepfather at all. And right now I'm shaking because it's not him. And I don't know why they're betraying him to be a monster, and he's not.
Where did they find these niggas at? Wow. That's the stepdaughter, and she came out defending this dude too. I'm gonna let y'all hear that again. What type of shit is this? Can we get our AFC members to post that poo emoji in the chat? We got a lot of emojis in there. This is an appropriate time to post it. Post your poo emojis in the chat if y'all got an AFC badge. I'm gonna let y'all hear this. Listen at what this big, fat, nasty, weave-wearing, bad teeth-looking bitch said. Let's listen at this again.
That would never be my stepfather at all. And right now I'm shaking because it's not him. And I don't know why they're betraying him to be a monster, and he's not.
Keep in mind, not one of these individuals came out and said anything in support of the little boy. Well, clearly something happened to him, because Zymere Perkins is fucking dead. Where is your heart at? So you mean to tell me that y'all are more concerned about this grown ass man who was accused of doing something very, very hideous? It was either only the boyfriend or the mom. Either way, the boy is dead. And y'all can't even say anything nice about Zymere Perkins. Y'all are sad. Any of those family members that agree with her sentiments and the son's sentiments, y'all are horrible people. And I hope they take all of y'all children away. All of y'all. I hope, what is this bride's name? Tiara Fortune, what a stupid name like that. I hope you're not a parent.
That would never be my stepfather at all. And right now I'm shaking because it's not him. And I don't know why they're betraying him to be a monster, and he's not. He loves kids.
The mother reportedly told police she was there during the attack but never called 911 and waited till the boy was dead several hours to take him to the hospital. ACS investigated the mother at least 5 times since 2010.
And we're looking at the policies and procedures to make sure we do our best to protect the young people in this city. It is important that we stay in contact with all the rest of the agencies to make sure we do our best to protect these kids.
After a week of CBS 2 demanding it.
Wow, that is insane. I didn't even realize that I had that interview. That's insane. I mean, not only do people think that we're ignorant, but it's a whole nother level of stupidity when you open your mouth on camera and then everybody realizes, damn, they are that dumb.
6-year-old.
Literally gonna validate all the stereotypes.
Losing a child is unbearable.
Oh, wow.
And it's my responsibility and one that I take seriously.
Gladys Carrion, the commissioner of ACS, broke down at a city council hearing shortly after the tragedy. And this week
That's the commissioner. And I'm going to tell you, I want y'all to keep in mind. Let me see if I can pull her information up again. They said that she resigned. She resigned. And I don't know if she resigned for legal purposes or whatever. But if y'all paid attention to this story when we're getting ready to wrap up, guess who the only person was that shed a tear for this little boy? Y'all keep wanting to call, well, not y'all, but there's a lot of people that keep wanting to call white people devils and all of that stuff. But if y'all paid attention to everybody, all the family and friends that walked out of court when y'all saw that video, to his son, what was his name again? His name is, let me see, Rysheim Smith, his son, and then his stepdaughter. You didn't hear any of them cry for 6-year-old Zymere Perkins. The only person that cried for this little boy was the commissioner of the ACS. One person, and it was a woman, and she was white. Ain't that sad?
Losing a child is unbearable, and it's my responsibility, and one that I take seriously.
Gladys Carrion, the commissioner of ACS, broke down at a city council hearing shortly after the tragedy.
I don't care if it's fake or not. At least she expressed some type of sentiment for the boy, and that I can appreciate, even if it's not, even if it is artificial. I can still appreciate it.
And this week, she announced she would resign. As part of its findings, the state has ordered the city to appoint an independent monitor to oversee the agency.
She was there during the assault, but prosecutors say she never called 911. And hospital staff believe the boy had been dead for several hours before Perkins brought him in. Perkins' family Wednesday defending her.
Geraldine Perkins, my niece, is innocent.
CBS 2 demanding answers of Mayor de Blasio, who says...
Y'all see this? Look at this again. They have every opportunity for people to feel sad for them. And look at this. Look at this again.
Brought him in. Perkins' family Wednesday defending her.
Geraldine Perkins, my niece, is innocent.
CBS 2 demanding answers of Mayor de Blasio several hours before Perkins brought him in. Perkins' family Wednesday defending her.
Look at these women. No men around. They're not even sad for the kid. They're worried about themselves. Listen to how they defended her again. The mother.
Geraldine Perkins, my niece, is innocent. Geraldine Perkins, my niece, is innocent. Geraldine Perkins, my niece, is innocent. Geraldine Perkins, my niece, is innocent.
Actually, no, she's not. And I'm sorry. I don't like liars. They're lying because they had evidence in court. It was either the boyfriend that killed her or the mother that allowed it to happen. Either way it goes, the mother put her son in this situation. For that, she is guilty no matter what. So you're wrong, period.
He was joyful, playful. He used to run around, laugh, play. He loved his Superman and his Batman. He used to give you little wet kisses all the time. So, I mean, he was a great kid. Like, he was a normal kid. I knew him from the age from 4 to 5. I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm disappointed. I have mixed feelings.
At least she spoke about the boy, which is more than I could say for the family who actually sued the city and won $275,000. We'll talk about that here in a second.
Immediately following the wake here at the church, there will be a funeral. We're told members of the NYPD's 30th precinct help raise money to pay for the funeral services.
Oh my God. So they did raise money to pay for the funeral, even though a lot of states actually pay for these children's funerals, even though they won a $275,000 settlement. Do you see what I'm talking about? They sent them, the family, all this money, and they couldn't even say something nice about Zymere in front of the camera for the world to see. Hashtag babies for benefits. The family has clearly proven they didn't care about this kid, and they only cared for the benefits that they could have got from Zymere Perkins. And guess what they got out of him? They got out of his life almost $300,000. So apparently this 6-year-old black young boy's life is equivocated to a dollar symbol. And I think that's sad. I'm sorry, there's nothing on earth I would ever trade my daughter's life for. I would give my life for my daughter. I would give anything and everything. I give my last breath for my daughter to make sure that she has a chance. So what I want to say to the boyfriend by the name of Rysheim Smith, to the biological mother by the name of Geraldine, let me see, where's her name at? Geraldine Perkins. I hope that they institute a space program for people that are abusing children. And I hope that we take our little rocket emojis and post those in the chat, because I'm voting for these two dum-dums to be put on the very next mission that NASA has. Launch them into space and just don't bring the spaceship back. Like, don't bring it back to Earth. Let them stay in space and just wander out and just die out. The world is much better without these kind of people. Why the family defends them and they didn't defend this boy is beyond me. This little boy on my screen, this young prince, could not speak for himself. He could not defend himself against the tyranny of his caretakers. Everybody around you, and I'm speaking to him, to Zymere Perkins, who only lived to be 6 years old. Young prince, you deserve better. And I hope that you are resting in God's presence right now. This world failed you. This earth failed you. And you deserve much better than what you got. Young prince, R.I.P. Zymere Perkins. And we hope that they give the boyfriend as much time as possible. Life in prison sounds about right. To the mom, she's going to probably be out at age 35. But I hope that they inject something in her to get rid of her ovaries. Hashtag take the ovaries. She does not deserve to be a mother in this life or the next life. I hope that this story serves as a cautionary tale and that we can start making real change. And for those people that work in ACS and CPS and wherever else, DCFS, wherever it is that they work, look at these stories and say that my caseload, I don't want this to happen. Please take your job seriously or don't take the goddamn job. Don't take on more of a caseload than you can actually bear, because it's going to end up in the death of a child, because you're going to miss something. You're going to neglect something. So if you can't take the caseload, then stop taking the paycheck and continuing to keep taking on cases that you can't handle. Then that means that those agencies need to hire more people. But more importantly, the foundation is where it counts. None of that stuff means anything until we can start getting our foundation, our houses and families built on a solid foundation, biological mother and biological father working together to raise our children and stop depending on everybody else to take care of us. Because if we do, we're doomed to fail and we're going in a negative trend, and we have to fix it and we have to start caring. And it takes everybody to care. If you see something, continue to say something. They did, and they still failed this boy. But thank you to the citizens that at least did their job and they reported it 5 times. That's really all you can do. To the people of New York, y'all tried. ACS failed you. The biological mother failed. Who the hell knows where the biological father is? And the boyfriend, well, he's a fucking thug. He did what thugs do. When you date thugs, you date death. This is your boy DJ Just J. Life means love yourself first every day. I love you guys from my heart to yours. Thank you for listening to the story. That's the end of the stream.